Helen,
And I'm Liz,
and we're sisters
scientists,
and lifelong X-Files fans.
and this is We Want to Believe.
All right. Welcome to a special episode of We Want to Believe. Last time I promised it would be special. I hadn't figured out how yet. I was doing some razzle dazzle. I don't know. And then I came up with it. And then it took me a while to actually act on it. Today, we are going to be talking about X-Files Origins #1, Agent of Chaos.
Oh, perfect.
Yes, the book that you never read.
Yes.
So I read it, but that was a while ago. And so I had to reread it. So I started at 10 this morning and I was late to record because I was speed reading my way through this book. So,
oh my God. You read
yeah.
it then in like an hour and a half?
I had read like the first chapter or two yesterday, but I think I was on my Kindle. So I was 10% into the book. So I read 90% of the book this morning. And I mean, I was skimming. I was like, relationship stuff. Sad stuff about Samantha. Skim.
Now, are you also going to give a brief summary of the episode
Fearful
as
Symmetry.
well?
Yes.
Okay.
So I thought first, before we get into anything, I'd mention that I started collecting questions for a future special episode with like listener questions.
Oh, did
And
you
we've
get some?
I got two that are really good,
Ooh.
but I think we should save them. And so I want to
Okay.
encourage people to send more, either, DM us or comment on our posts with questions. They can be as specific to the X-Files or totally tangential, not about the X-Files at all, as you want.
Yeah,
If you
we
just
had
wanna,
some good ones in our last bonus Ask Us Anything questions. So
yeah,
I mean,
I was just re-listening to that, and I think we were asked what monster were we most afraid of as children and as adults, and I feel like that's a good question. Yeah. So whatever. Yeah, whatever you'd
Did
like
I
us
say
to talk
ghosts?
about. Yeah, I know I did because I said it
Okay.
seemed the most sensible. So, which I stand by.
Yeah.
So my quick recap of the episode Fearful Symmetry has basically in two words, invisible animals. It's got
that's
an
vaguely
elephant
familiar.
turns invisible, breaks out of a zoo and like rampages. And there's like a animal rights group that's trying to free captive animals, but then it's in this area that's known for UFO sightings, and so then they find out that the animals are magically pregnant even though they've never been mated. Yeah, and so
This is
Mulder,
actually going to be vaguely relevant in the
I
future?
mean, sort of, yeah. I
Okay.
guess. I will say that the lone gunmen are involved. They're in a scene, but they're only talked about in that they're like, oh, this is an area with a lot of UFO activity. And there's a ape of some sort who talks about being scared of the bright light in the sky and is worried her baby will be abducted because she's
Wait, I'm
pregnant.
sorry. How does she talk about it?
Oh, sign language.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Like this actually is sounding a lot like one of the Curious George movies, where
Wait, what?
yeah, there's an elephant who's with this really mean magician, and
Oh, no.
George, then George and the man with the yellow hat break her out.
Good.
And they go on this like cross country journey. And
Nice.
so that actually sounds. Maybe we can just pretend.
Yeah, I like that. I think watch that instead.
Yeah.
So yeah, the basically
hold on.
it sounds.
I'm gonna sound absolutely insane by saying this, but it's actually not the best of the Curious George movies, so I wouldn't recommend watching that instead.
Oh, okay. What one would you recommend then?
Ooh, the Halloween Boo Fest. Great TV.
Oh, okay. I feel like I've seen a Curious George Halloween at your house before. Is there more than one, or is that like the same one?
Just the same one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, good songs, good. And their Christmas one is so disappointing if you're familiar with the Halloween one. But I'm talking to a very specific demographic with young children right now. So
I think
we can keep going.
Just a lot of people have young kids or have had young kids.
Yeah.
I think it's reasonable.
Yeah.
I somehow started getting, I don't know what it was exactly, but now I'm like, I get all these adult fans of Bluey posts on like my targeted ads on Facebook. Still no targeted ads about donkey sanctuaries, which I've been attempting to get by
Oh
talking about them a
man.
lot. Yeah,
Huh.
but yeah,
How hard
adult
have you been
fans of
trying?
Bluey. I mean, I don't know.
Every day?
Mom and I on no, not every day, but Mom and I were on the phone recently and we talked about them for a while. You
Mm,
know, I don't know.
mm,
Yeah.
okay.
I swear the phones hear us and post things, and then, I
I
don't know
mean,
what
we're
I need
told
to do.
that they don't,
I know
though.
we're told
You
they
know?
don't.
Yeah.
And this is seeming to suggest maybe they don't. So at
Yeah.
least, or that donkey sanctuaries don't do a good job of taking advantage of that sort of thing. I don't know.
Also true. Maybe it would be a
Yeah.
better study if it was done with something like much more common that
Yeah, like I really want to buy, like what's something I don't actually want to buy, so I won't Google it, but like that I might.
hmm.
A tractor. No, I don't want to buy it. I don't even want to pretend to buy a tractor. It's too boring. Um,
Yeah,
so
a donkey
basically,
sanctuary ads would be way better than tractor
yeah,
ads. Okay, sorry,
I
go
I don't
ahead.
know, like a lamp. I know that. See that I might want to buy a lamp at some point. I'll work on
Yeah.
it. I'll work on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So anyway, basically, Mulder thinks it's like alien conservationists, basically trying
Ooh.
to breed these animals or take care of them or something.
Huh.
And the animals end up being, my impression is, sent back to their countries of origin, I guess.
Okay.
Um, but then there were some like actual people involved who die, where like a guy who is killed by a falling crate, another guy is hit with a cattle prod. I don't know, some people die, so that's fine. That's the episode. I'm just going off a summary online because I didn't want to
Okay.
watch it, because I didn't want to watch things with actual elephants or tigers or apes in them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
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 Besides, now I can tell you about X-Files Origins #1, Agent of Chaos.
All right. I'm ready.
So to give you a little bit of background, this came out in 2017. It is the first of two books, as of right now, the only two in this series that are meant to be about Mulder and Scully as teenagers. So they obviously didn't know each other, so they have to have two separate plots. So Scully isn't in this at all. It's just about
Right.
Mulder.
Hmm.
And it was written by Cami Garcia, who's written some other books. She's done a lot of IP stuff. So that's intellectual property, and that's where um, I've thought about it myself. I have writer friends who talk about doing it where you're hired to write the plot of an existing, uh, copyrighted
Oh,
idea, like writing
yeah,
for about the
yeah.
X-Files, writing about a Disney show characters or something.
Yeah, yeah. Nora McInerney. Do you know her? The
No, I
podcast
don't.
host and author.
Uh-uh.
Oh, she's fantastic. She hosts It's Going to Be Okay and Terrible Thanks for Asking, two great
Oh,
podcasts. And
oh, cool.
actually on I was gonna say, well, you'll miss it by the time this episode comes out, but you can listen to older podcasts. It's
Yes,
not like
that's
the
how,
radio.
yeah, right.
That the February 6th episode of It's Going to Be Okay will be me.
What?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
just
God.
a little voice memo that I sent it, and that's kind of how the
Oh
show
my
works.
God. Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay.
Yep.
And
Hmm.
it's by
Nora
someone,
McInerney. Hmm.
Nora M.
Yeah. But this, if you don't know who she is, but she's a very good author too. She writes memoirs. But she wrote a Bad Moms book. Similarly, like
Is Bad Moms a
the
thing?
movies.
Are those
Yeah.
movies?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know
With
those
like
movies.
Mila Kunis and Kristen
Oh,
Bell
oh, I guess I
and
am vaguely aware of that now that you say
yeah.
it. Yeah. Oh, she wrote a
Yeah.
book. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's how I know about it.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So like, your approach with like, here's the rough outline of the plot and you have to fill it in or whatever.
Hmm.
And so she's written this the author of this, Cami Garcia, has written a lot of like other sci-fi stuff, other like Buffy and other fandom things.
Ooh.
So she wrote this, and then somebody different wrote the Scully book, which I haven't read.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
and I mean, it's a real tough needle to thread, this sort of book, because it's a YA book, so it's got to be appealing to teenagers.
Right.
Um, but it's clearly supposed to be appealing to X-Files fans. And so those are
Ah,
generally not teenagers.
right,
And it's got to take place in the 70s because of Mulder's age, going with the show and everything.
right.
Um, it's trying to like achieve a lot, and I think it's difficult.
Yeah.
I think it does okay. Like I
Hmm.
don't I don't find myself wanting to reread this, and I'll talk about some of the stuff I didn't like, and some of the stuff I thought was neat. And it opens with something kind of neat where there's Mulder is a teenager. He's walking home from school with his friend, and there's two people in a car clearly like spying on him. And the scene
Hmm.
is from the point of view of this younger agent who's in the car with an older guy who's smoking Morleys. So there's a lot of little like Easter eggs to the show, and the it's a cigarette smoking man, and he's telling the younger guy whose perspective it is, I want you to spy on Bill Mulder's son. We're considering, do we want to recruit him? And it's unclear what they want to recruit him for. And please report this directly to me, not to the agency or whatever. And he says, don't even sign your reports with your name, just sign them X. And I was like,
Uh,
oh, it's X. So they've got like occasional little things in the book where X is watching Mulder, but he otherwise doesn't interfere with the plot. But I was like, hey, finally, I've got something with X in it. Yes, I had to
Now,
read this book.
hold on. I have a question. So, okay.
Yes.
So the movie, for example, the first movie, the
Yeah.
only movie as far as I'm
No,
concerned.
no,
No,
not the
no,
only
no.
movie.
As far as I'm
Oh, as far
concerned,
as you're
like that.
concerned.
Yeah.
Fair. Yeah, I didn't like that
Yeah.
other one. Yeah.
That is supposed to take place like between the fourth and fifth season or
Yeah.
fifth and sixth, fourth and
Yeah,
fifth.
something like I
Okay.
think fifth and sixth, but I'm not sure.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. And so that is supposed to be canon, for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
right? Is
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
supposed to
absolutely.
like,
My understanding is yes, this is canon.
okay, okay.
It doesn't contradict anything. I think she does a good job with that. But there's a lot of extra stuff that I can't bring myself to care about. Um,
Ah, sure.
like the love interest, who Mulder
Mm,
clearly we know does not get together with because
right.
she's invented just for this book.
Yeah.
Or I guess she was also written in an X-Files short story that this same author wrote about Mulder when he was younger,
Ah,
in some other piece of IP. Um, so I do think this is meant to be canon, but I don't I don't know that for like I'm not sure how to know that for official, honestly.
yeah. Yeah. Same.
Like,
Right.
yeah, I know they say that in the comic books of Firefly that those are canon and that they explain whatever it is that Shepherd Book's backstory is that they never explain on
Ooh.
the show. And yet I've never read them. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't know. I'm not into graphic novels or comic books, not for any sort of like, I'm too fancy or something stupid reason, but like, I don't know. I can't get into it.
I mean,
I
I've read
read,
I've read kind of a lot of them,
Watchmen.
I guess. Oh yeah, well, I mean,
Have you?
here's the thing, like there's a lot that is nothing like Watchmen. That's
Yeah.
not being into Watchmen seems totally reasonable to me.
No,
I
I
don't know.
actually enjoyed it. I
Oh,
actually
okay.
liked it. So that was one that I enjoyed, but
Okay.
so maybe I haven't tried hard enough. I don't
Maybe.
know.
I mean,
Yeah.
did you read Roller Girl for something completely different?
No, I
It
haven't.
is such a goddamn delight. Roller Girl by Victoria Jameson, for anyone
But I
listening.
was I was thinking that
So good.
would William, my 9-year-old, be
Yes,
old enough?
I think he would really like it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then maybe I'll read it too.
Yeah. Yeah, you should. I can lend you my copy if you want. So,
Oh, cool. Okay.
yeah, it's so good. Yeah. Um and it's not too much like Watchmen, but um
That's good
so
because I wouldn't let William read
yeah,
Watchmen.
fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, so then we flash. Now, most of the book is from Mulder's perspective, and he's recently moved to DC. His parents have split up. He's doing his senior year in DC instead of at Martha's Vineyard, and he doesn't get along with his dad, and he's thinking a lot about Samantha. And then, like, a big character in the book is Mulder's friend Gimbal, who is not anybody in the X-Files. He's invented
Yeah.
for this book. Um, and so they go to Gimbal's house, and Gimbal's dad is sort of crazy. I don't know.
Huh.
like unhinged, and you can't tell how much of it is real and how much of it isn't. He's a conspiracy theorist. He has like, maps and things all over their house, and he's obsessed with this book called Stormbringer by Michael Moorcock, which the first time I read this book, I assumed that Stormbringer was invented by the author of the book. It is not. It is a real novel from
Oh.
the 60s. It is said to be like the inspiration for D&D in a lot of ways and how the
Oh,
magic system works. It's a fantasy novel. And
interesting.
so there's a lot that I'm going to bring up about Stormbringer, which is apparently true.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
so that's a real book.
Quick side note that ties together both my last tangent and this one. Are you familiar with like a new video game that people are super into that's like supposed to be about D&D?
No.
Oh, it's on, like the Xbox and stuff, and
Oh,
PlayStation,
no.
and it's like D&D, but um
But a video game?
a video game. Yeah.
What's it
Yeah. And
called?
people can't think of the name of it.
Huh.
But it reminds me of my last interruption as well, because and actually the end of our last episode, that
About William
I
talking about watching it?
yes.
Okay.
That I went to a happy hour with some of my colleagues the first day of the start of the semester,
Uh-huh.
and I was talking to a few of them, and they were talking about this video game, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds cool," and I was like, "Well, I don't know D&D at all, but would I enjoy
Hmm.
it?" We were talking, and I was like, "Well, how, what's the violence level? Like, my kids have played like Oblivion and Skyrim, and we're
Oh,
okay with
yeah.
like some like sword-based violence."
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and uh and they were like, "Oh yeah," and so we're discussing this, and then the one's partner breaks in, and she's like, "I'm sorry, no, no, this has like a ton of graphic sex. You don't know her 9-year-old cannot watch this." And I was like, "Oh my God, thank you." And the two guys it just didn't
It
think
didn't occur
to
to them?
bring that up. It didn't occur to
Wow.
them as we're talking
Huh.
about like whether or not it's suitable for a 9-year-old.
I
And
mean,
she was
like,
like, no.
I know they say that, like, oh, Americans are more puritanical about sex than Europeans as far as in media and stuff, and that
Yeah.
we're less so about violence. But I kind of feel like, no, a 9-year-old doesn't need to play a video game
Yeah.
with a ton of graphic sex. No,
Yeah.
that's not being puritanical. That's just good parenting.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Yeah. Like apparently you can like pick the appearance of the
Oh my.
character's genitals.
Ah!
And
Ah! Ah! I don't like it. No, that's weird. That's not a nut.
yeah.
That's
Yeah. No.
oh my
No.
God. And they were like, sure, William could play it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, these are people without children who are
Okay.
like
Yeah. I
men
mean,
in their 30s.
it
I
can be
don't
easy to lose touch with what's okay and what isn't, but I don't that seems like a very specific type of game that is
yeah.
not suitable for a work
Anyone?
conversation.
Well,
Like,
I mean, we were at a bar.
okay,
This was
okay,
happy
I mean,
hour. Yeah.
fair, but I
Yeah.
feel like that is like akin to being like, oh yes, and what porns do you watch, colleague? Like, wow, okay, and you can't
Yeah.
remember the name of the game though.
I can't. No.
Huh. All right,
But I mean, like, I hear it's super good, which, like, because then
interesting.
it's like, well, there's in the later ACOTAR books, they get more adult. And so is it
Uh-huh.
like wrong? Like, is it weird for me to recommend those to my
Oh yeah,
colleagues?
no, and
Like
yeah,
I don't know.
that's interesting. There was a question about that on Ask a Manager where someone was like, "Oh, I
Oh,
recommended a book to my supervisor really enthusiastically," and she said she was going to read it, and then I reread it and was like, "I did not remember that this is got a lot of graphic sex scenes, and now I feel weird. And what do I do?" So,
yeah. Yeah. But, I wouldn't recommend A Court of Thorns and Roses ACOTAR for one of my colleagues' children, though. That I
right.
do.
Yes.
That's the difference. But anyway, Stormbringer.
Stormbringer. It's a
Okay,
real
great.
novel by Michael
Cool.
Moorcock, and
Okay.
Gimbel's dad, who goes by the Major, he's like ex-military. He's obsessed with this book because Gimbel's mom was reading it when she died, and so it like brings him closer to her. But he thinks there's all of these like important codes in there about law and chaos and the struggle between them.
Huh.
And it's mentioned on the news that there's a kid named Billy Christian who's missing, an 8-year-old. And so anytime, that's brought up, there's a lot of Mulder. Mulder at this point hasn't done the like regression hypnosis so that he remembers seeing Samantha disappear. He just
Right.
knows he like blacked out and she was gone, and he feels all this guilt about it. And so Mulder then is alone at his dad's apartment because his dad is going to New Mexico for a business thing, which I assume has to do with aliens, actually. I'm like,
Oh, New Mexico. Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. And
Probably.
um, Mulder's friend Phoebe is going to come visit from Martha's Vineyard for a couple days. And I just can't bring myself to care about Phoebe. Phoebe,
Sure.
first of all, it's weird that her name is Phoebe because Phoebe is also Mulder's love interest, the British one from that fire episode that we hated.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I thought.
Yeah.
Hold
It's
on
not.
1 second because it's 78 degrees in my office. I
Oh,
need to open my window
Jesus.
more.
Yeah.
You would think it being
I just want your whole outfit. I want your jewelry. I want
Oh,
that dress. Like,
thank you.
it's
I
real
bet you'd like
cute.
my shoes too.
Let me see. Oh, well, I couldn't wear them though, but I love them. They're
Ah, sure.
heels. It's just not happening, but I love
Yeah.
them. Yeah. Yeah. Are those tights comfortable?
Yeah, I mean they're just tights.
I find like I have a hard time finding comfortable tights. I get annoyed by tights all the time. If any
Oh,
listeners have advice for tights for people with big thighs and like like about size 16, comfortable tights that aren't going to be like sagging down, that are thick enough that I don't have to feel my thighs touch, which is the worst feeling in the world. Um,
wait,
but
how could they
also,
pass? I mean, you feel your thighs touching jeans, right?
well, that's fine. It needs to be not so thin that it doesn't, so that my thighs are not aware of each other, if you will. Like they need to have like,
Do they fight? Like,
well,
what is
I mean,
that?
apparently, I don't know. I've had to buy chafing cream in Europe some summers in the
Oh, well,
past before I
sure.
wore shorts under my skirts.
I mean, who hasn't had to buy chafing cream in Europe?
Very thin people. Um,
Yeah, I guess that's
because
true.
I know there was a period where I gained weight and hadn't really thought it through, and then was like, I'm just so angry all the time, and then
Oh
finally
God.
bought some shorts and it was better. And yeah,
Yeah.
they're not sponsoring us. They should, but they're not. There's a company called Thigh Society, and I buy their shorts, and
Oh,
they're so comfy, so thin. I wear them under all my dresses and skirts in the summer, and you don't have to wear underwear with them, and they aren't
cool.
sucky any, so they're very comfy. And they don't add bulk. They're just
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Cool. Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Anyway.
I do that myself where I usually wear like a pair of Spanx I buy
Mm,
them bigger though. They're not true Spanx,
interesting.
but they're like
Okay.
Spanx like.
Yeah.
I buy them bigger so that they're not squeezing and use them for the same
Okay.
purpose. But
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds better.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I don't like the like creams and stuff they have.
No, they don't last, not
No,
for the amount
right.
of like walking I'm gonna do. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, then I don't have to worry about like sitting in the grass and someone seeing my
Exactly.
underwear
You know
or
me.
yeah.
I don't
Oh
have great
yeah.
awareness of like spatial stuff. I want to sit with my
Yeah.
knees tucked to my chest. I want to sit with my legs all twisted weird if I'm going to fall asleep
Yeah.
on a train. So
Yeah.
I don't have to worry
Yeah.
about flashing my students. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Um, anyhow, Phoebe's coming for a visit.
Okay.
Phoebe is really smart and really hot. And
Ugh.
it's just like, I'm like, that whole monologue that Amy gives in Gone Girl about the cool girl.
Oh
And I'm
yeah.
just like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
sure that's like Phoebe is like the dork version of the cool girl. Like she
Mm-hmm.
knows Star Trek really well, and she's got long blonde hair, and she's just naturally pretty and doesn't wear a lot of makeup. And I just felt like I have no tolerance for Phoebe. I don't
Yeah.
care about Phoebe, and
Fair.
I don't. So Phoebe's coming to visit, and so Mulder is by himself before she gets there, and there's something on the news that there's another child missing. Her name is
Ah.
Sarah, and they show her in a picture wearing pajamas with elephants on them, but Mulder notices there's a weird little stain that is shaped like a hippo near the zipper of the pajamas. And this is
Hmm.
important because then Mulder goes out for a jog, and he jogs through this cemetery, and there's some people who were going to be there for their grandma's funeral, but when they went to the plot where the hole was dug, there was already a body in there, and it was the body of Billy Christian, the first missing child.
Ah.
And Mulder
I
gets a
thought you were gonna
glimpse.
say a hippo.
Oh God, no. I read this book to avoid that sort of thing. No, but he is
Whoa.
wearing those pajamas. So in other
Oh,
words, Mulder knows whoever took him and killed him also
yeah.
has this new girl. And
Yeah.
so he also sees on the body that there is a bunch of arrows sticking out of his chest. So that's
Huh.
creepy. 8 of
Yeah.
them. And so Mulder and Gimble go and talk to the cops, and the detectives are like, what are you talking about? No, stop wasting our time. Crackpots, which seems ridiculous to me. Just like
Yeah.
check it. Also, like, I'm sorry, 8-year-olds don't go missing that often. Two
Right.
kids who have, and Mulder then does go and talk to somebody in Billy's neighborhood and finds out that, yeah, it's the same exact scenario where it was evening. The kid was left alone for just a couple minutes while their
Oh
parent or
man.
whoever went in another room, and then the front door was left wide open. So it's
Oh,
like the exact same situation.
yeah.
And the cops are like, oh, hippo stain. No, whatever, you know. Um, so then Phoebe arrives, and there's a lot of like Gimble is sort of playing a role, sort of how like the lone gunmen always talk about how Scully is hot, but it doesn't seem like they're actually going to try to go for her. It's like
Uh-huh.
Mulder and Scully, where it's like Mulder and Phoebe, but Gimble thinks she's hot and cool too. And it's I don't care about
Uh,
Phoebe. Don't care about
yeah.
Phoebe. Um,
Do you care about Gimbal?
eh, a little
Okay.
more. I don't hate
Okay.
him.
Okay.
He's like a weird little D&D nerd dealing with the fact that his mom died, and the major is paranoid and makes his life difficult.
Okay.
And so we do see another scene of Axe and the cigarette smoking man watching them. And then they make a plan that they're going to go back to the police station and try to get a look at the files where like one of them will distract the police while the other goes and looks. And
Does this
this
work
it does.
oh
It
God.
does. Yeah. So it's almost like unintentional where Mulder goes to use the bathroom and then walks in the wrong door. And there's the room with like the kind of war room for the
Mm-hmm.
case. And there's like everything on the wall. And some important stuff he finds out are that the arrows were made of adult human bones.
Oh God.
Yes. And that the kid was poisoned with aconite.
Oh, huh.
And
Were the bones fibulas? Because that's what I'd use.
we're going to get to that. And you
Oh,
can
no
tell me
kidding.
what you think. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah. Because I think honestly, they should have consulted you.
I
Um,
think they should have.
Yeah, and speaking of bones, another plug for that podcast I'm listening to
Oh
called
gosh,
Death in
yes.
Ice Valley. It's a little bit weird and slow in parts where it's
Okay.
like there's two hosts, and one of them is not a native English speaker. It takes place in Norway, and sometimes it just sounds a little bit scripted too much, where they'll be like, I found that the person we should talk to is so and so. They witnessed this, and the guy will be like, "Okay, well, let's go talk to him." Okay, well, it's a bit of a journey. He lives in Spain, and then a airplane noise, and it's a little bit
Uh
fakey, but the facts of the case are wild. It's about a woman's body that was found with no identification in Ice Valley in Norway, and all of the labels had been ripped out of her clothes, and then they found a suitcase that belonged to her at the station with I won't say more than that.
yeah.
It's really weird, and I don't know what's going
Okay.
on. So,
Cool. And
and it's
Death in
true.
Ice Valley.
Death in Ice Valley.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Awesome.
Um, so
Cool.
anyway,
So
there's
Aconite?
stuff about bones in there and like forensic pathologists
Oh, ooh, great.
I just thought you should listen to it.
I
So
should.
aconite was the poison.
Hmm.
And so Mulder and Phoebe go and they go to tell Gimble this, and they're at Gimble's house, and the major is
Wait, I'm
there.
sorry. How did they find out that aconite was what poisoned the
Oh,
boy
because
from the police files?
it was on the files.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
They
Got it.
also found out that what Mulder hadn't seen is that the boy had a stone in his hand called numite.
Huh.
It's some sort of metamorphic rock, a
Okay.
black stone. And
Okay.
so the major starts telling Phoebe about some of the like cases he's following on his walls that he thinks are from aliens. And so I think the
Uh-huh.
idea in the book is that Mulder kind of gets his alien obsession from the major a little bit.
Oh, okay.
And so he says like, oh, there's this woman who was um pimping out teenage girls who was murdered, and she was missing her hand. And then there was this drug dealer whose body was missing its jaw. There was this slumlord recently who hung himself and he was missing a finger, and then somebody else who
Ah,
was
I
bad
see.
who was missing his foot. So he's like, oh, there's all these. And originally, Mulder and Gimble had been like, okay, these are just a bunch of people who died in pretty much non-suspicious ways. But now they're
Uh-huh.
like, oh, but now that they know the arrows were made from human bones,
Yeah,
maybe your dad is onto something here.
sure.
Um, and so they decide that they are going to go to Georgetown University Library and
Okay.
do some research. And there's a whole thing about Georgetown because Mulder's dad wants him to go to college there because that's where like powerful people who become lawyers and things go. And Mulder's
Hmm.
like, no, I want to do something with NASA. I want to do something with like I'm not sure what I want, but I don't want to go to Georgetown. Um, and so they go to Georgetown Library though, and they're doing research. And I mean, it's a like there's a lot of scenes that are kind of long and pointless. Like there's some
Uh-huh.
like slow scenes in this book. And I'm just glossing over the fact that Mulder and Phoebe kiss, but then Mulder isn't brave enough to say he actually likes her and wants her to be his girlfriend. Like,
Uh, yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
care,
I was
frankly.
just like skim, skim, skim. I don't care, you
Yeah.
know. Um, it
Are
does
I'm sorry. Will I
you go.
be able to say more about the bones and their suitability for arrows, or is this
No,
the
this
time?
is a great time. Yeah.
Okay. So, did you say how big are the arrows? Do they describe the size?
No,
But
I don't
like,
think they're meant. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit more about why they're shaped like they were. They're
okay.
not um in just a scene. So maybe
Oh,
we'll hold
okay.
off.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So one thing they discover at the library is that aconite, the poison, is made from monkshood or
Yeah.
wolfbane, which
Yeah.
is oh, you knew that.
I do. Yeah. It's also sometimes used in homeopathic remedies. So be careful if you're someone who sometimes wants to take homeopathic remedies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I knew about it
Yeah.
because I
Monk's Hood.
remember using wolfsbane in that first novel I wrote that I like
That was
barely queried at
so
all.
good, though.
It was okay. It
Okay.
was,
I mean, yeah,
I think it,
maybe in retrospect, but I really enjoyed reading it.
well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it was reasonable that it wasn't picked up by an agent, but not terrible. But
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I didn't do a great job of selling it either, and I did some things where I was like, I can query this person because it's kind of a rom-com. No, there's no romance in it. Where's the rom, Liz? You know, or like, oh, it's kind of sci-fi because it's got a werewolf. No,
Yeah.
not really, you
Yeah.
know. Um, and just like made it things that I know now would like make it hard to market. Anyway, so that's how I knew
Yeah.
about wolfsbane. Um, but so they learned that it's a plant. It
Hmm.
comes from a plant, and that's kind of important because next the when they're talking about the new mite to the librarian, she talks about how it's used in new age magic. And
Ah.
so okay, so they're going to go to this new age bookstore in Krager, Maryland. And this is another Easter egg with future X-Files stuff in
Oh.
that there is apparently a scene in Krager, Maryland in the episode Paper Hearts.
Oh. Oh, good
Yeah.
episode. Hmm.
Yeah. And so I guess there is even a scene where and they talk about how they have a hard time finding it and how the town wasn't even on the map, and they talk
Huh.
about that in the book, and apparently that's also mentioned in the episode of Paper Hearts.
Oh, cool.
And so Mulder and Scully go to a diner in the episode Paper Hearts.
Hmm.
I don't even remember this scene. I don't think it's of much consequence,
Yeah.
but they also go to the diner in this book. And
Oh.
so
Oh, that's
a
cool. Okay.
little reference to that. And so
Yeah.
so they go to this new age bookstore called Beyond Beyond, and there's also a coffee bar, which seems very modern for a bookstore in
For the
1979.
70s.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
kind of talk about that. Like Mulder says something about who wants coffee at a bar or something, but it still was weird it was there because it didn't
Who wants
really serve any
coffee at a bar? Oh, oh, oh. I see what
like
you're
the term
saying.
coffee
Like,
bar wasn't
got it.
in. Yeah.
Yeah. Got
So
it.
they see this there's going to be a meeting. They talk to this biker and find out there's going to be a meeting in the back of a group called the Illuminates of Thanateros. And
Oh, that's familiar. Or
is
no,
it?
maybe, well, thanatology is the study of death. So
Oh,
maybe that's what I'm
really?
thinking about. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so it's some group that does chaos magic. So they
Ah,
go,
huh.
so this is one of those things where like I'm not crazy about it in the book because the whole coincidence is that okay, Phoebe looks in a phone book, finds the closest New Age bookstore. They drive there and then the meeting happens to be happening and they go in the back and they're like putting up a banner for their club meeting and it's 8 arrows that look exactly like the ones that were in the kid on the kid's
Oh,
body. So it's like the
the
same logo.
on the banner it is.
Yes, on the banner.
Oh, yeah, that's
So
all a little too convenient.
it's
But
very convenient.
yeah.
Yes. And so um it's 8 arrows and that symbol of 8 is important because that's how old the kids are and that's how long 8 days is how long the kids are alive or how long Billy Christian was missing, I guess. Um and so yeah, it's the chaos symbol apparently. And so that if that helps, the arrows are small. They're just meant to represent this symbol. They're not meant to be used. Um
Oh, okay.
and when you're thinking about the
Um,
bones and their
yeah,
uses,
is the chaos symbol a real thing?
that's a really good question, Helen. I was quickly reading this. Yeah, it is real. Aha, of course. It is from Michael Moorcock's books,
Oh, funny.
from the
Okay,
Stormbringer books.
let me look
Yes.
quick.
And it looks like an asterisk with arrows on the end of it, basically. Um,
Oh, sure. Uh-huh. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like more people
Hmm.
are really into this book
Okay.
and these arrows.
So theoretically, then the arrows in Billy Christian were not meant to kill him, but were meant just to
Oh yeah, they didn't kill him at all. They were not like
oh,
they were kind of
just the
just like,
aconite did.
yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, oh,
sorry.
oh. Okay. Well, that changes my opinion on feasibility then.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, to get an arrow with, enough length and force and could be put in a bow to kill someone is like way
Yeah.
different than just, needing to like stab it into someone.
Gotcha.
I still think like, I mean, a mandible would be pretty hard to make into an, well, I mean, depends on how small the arrow. What did you say? A mandible, a foot? What were the
A
other ones?
jaw?
That's a mandible. Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, sorry. Of
Yeah.
course, mandibles. A hand and a
A
finger.
hand. A hand and a finger separately?
Yeah, one person's
Yeah,
hand,
no.
one person's
I mean,
finger.
finger bones would have to be tiny and or like welded together or something. Like a
Okay.
single finger bone is very small.
Yeah, I'm kind
Um,
of looking at my fingers. They are quite small, especially compared to my
well,
jaw.
right. And so I mean, your finger is actually besides your thumb is 2 bones, your fingers are 3 bones. So
Okay.
if you look at like each joint
Yeah,
from
that's
knuckle to
very short.
knuckle,
Yeah.
yeah, that's very,
And
very
and
small.
you want the arrows to all be the same size to make the symbol look right. So you'd basically have to scale everything to the tiniest bone if you were crafting this.
Right, which would be very small. Yeah.
Yes.
And
And it
like
would be hard
hand or
for like a random teenage jogger to spot it. So,
yes. Yeah. Yeah, I mean like even hand and foot bones, so like your metatarsals, like the actual
yeah.
bones of the foot and not the
Uh-huh.
toes. Um that seems like the most feasible.
Okay.
The mandible,
Okay.
you'd have to do a whole lot of carving. Like that just
Yeah, I
seems
was
like
thinking
a
so.
lot of work.
Yeah.
Like if you
Yeah.
have a body at your disposal and you're going to grab a part
Why
from
are you
it,
choosing
like
the jaw? Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that's my professional opinion.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. I needed that. Um, and so they mention at this meeting, Mulder, like after it, Mulder is talking to the meeting leader and asks like, does anybody ever try to do any like darker magic with this stuff? Because it all seems pretty nice.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, well, we actually just kicked somebody out a few months ago because he was trying to do
I
darker
was about
stuff.
to say, I bet they had someone they knew that they kicked out. Okay, great. Great.
And he was like way too into the like war between chaos and law and the eternal champion. Who is the
Hmm.
eternal champion? We are halfway through the book. This is the first mention of him. He is a concept and a character in the Stormbringer book.
Oh,
And
okay.
he's got a sword called Stormbringer. That's what
Ah,
Stormbringer is. And it's a demon sword
huh.
that when he kills people, the sword is like quenched with the blood and then he gets stronger, but eventually the sword kills him.
Oh,
So
okay. All
I
right. Is this
guess
supposed to
is
be
the
a good
deal.
book? What's the like,
I don't know. It's
huh?
definitely a book.
Okay.
Um, it doesn't look like a book that would interest me in the least because it
Ah,
looks like very fiddly with laws and magic rules and
mm,
stuff. But I also
mhm.
have sort of read a lot less fantasy in recent years.
Ah,
Yeah, so I mean, like, I don't know. It's a famous enough book that like I think it's still in print and people talk about it. I guess it influenced D&D. It doesn't
yeah,
seem like something I want to pick up. I don't
yeah,
know. But that doesn't mean it's bad. I don't
right.
know. It's weirdly playing a big role in this book.
Yeah.
So,
Huh. That is
um,
strange.
yeah, and so they talk about how yeah, this guy we kicked out, his name was Earl Roy. He had a job working with exotic plants, they mention offhand.
Uh,
Yes. And
First of all, I don't think aconite or wolfsbane or monkshood, I don't think
yeah.
it's that exotic,
You
right?
know, it's interesting that you say that because they even mention it's pretty common and that anybody
Oh,
could have it in their backyard and how that doesn't help
yeah.
them narrow it down. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. All
And
right.
then the shop owner says, "Oh yeah, Earl bought up all of my Numite, all of the this black stone that strengthens your auric shield." Okay.
Sure.
So they do a little bit of sneaky stuff to get the sign-in sheet from the meeting, this clipboard that goes back several months, so that they can get Earl Roy's address.
Okay.
Um, and so first they go to a diner. It's Charlotte's Diner, which is apparently in the episode Paper Hearts. Um, and Phoebe and Gimble are like, "Yeah, we need to call the police. This is dangerous. We can't go to the house of this possible
Yeah.
serial killer." And Mulder's
Yeah.
like, "Sure we can," which does seem very true to his nature.
Yeah.
Um, and they talk about how he doesn't like to plan; he likes to just go. And again,
Yeah.
that does seem very true.
Yeah.
Um, and so they call the police from the payphone, and the police don't take them seriously. And so they get directions to where Earl lives from somebody at the diner. Like they're like, "Here's where we're going. Can you help us figure out where to go?" And it's like dark, and there's no one around, and it's tough to find his house. They eventually find it. They split up because, of course, they do. And
Mhm.
Mulder sees there's a bunch of like kids' bikes in the backyard, which is
Ugh.
creepy. And
Yeah.
so then he goes in the house, he sees a framed picture of Billy Christian, and then
Ugh.
he is grabbed and knocked unconscious.
Sure. Okay.
Next chapter, X has followed them. X
Hold on.
is
Can I
watching,
interrupt? Do
please.
does Mulder ever get taken hostage or anything or abducted? I'm trying to think. I mean,
He
Scully does like a
must.
bunch, but I
Yeah, that's
can't think of any
interesting.
examples.
That's interesting. I mean, he gets taken by like
Oh,
government
by the
type
government.
people.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That's
Like
true. Okay. Yeah.
in one of the first episodes I think he
Yeah.
does
Yeah, that's right.
with the
Yep.
eyeball and the yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
But I do
Okay.
feel like in general it is Scully who gets taken more. And I don't
Yeah.
know if that's well, I mean, I know she was abducted for a few episodes because of her
Yeah.
pregnancy, because of Gillian Anderson's pregnancy. But yeah, I don't know if that's like a accidentally leaning into the like woman being more vulnerable thing, or if
Yeah.
it's just different. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Something to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Um, so X is watching them through night vision goggles, and he
Okay.
sees Phoebe and Gimble jump in the car to go drive and try to find the police, but he notes that they've driven in the wrong direction. So he goes into the house and he's thinking about rescuing Mulder, and he's like torn because he's like, cigarette smoking man would want me to rescue Mulder, but the organization we work for would not. And so eventually
Huh.
he just leaves him there and he calls 911 before he leaves
Oh,
and
okay.
puts in an anonymous tip.
Sure.
So Mulder comes to, he's restrained in the basement. Earl Roy is down there. he does a lot of monologuing about his beliefs, about how he is doing this cycle. And then Mulder notices that Sarah, the little girl who's been abducted, is there and she's
Oh.
drugged, but she's alive.
Oh,
And he
wow.
talks about Earl Roy is saying that the children are like Stormbringer in this universe, that they're like the demon sword, they're this vessel or something. And
Sure.
Mulder's like kind of confused and he says he's the protector of the eternal champion. And Mulder's like, well, that doesn't, those are two separate people. I'm kind of confused. But then Mulder scrapes himself just a little and Earl like freaks out. And it turns out he's super afraid of blood, which is kind of like
Huh.
the episode Blood, where the bad guy is, well, not the bad guy at all, but the guy who ends up, not a good guy, the guy who ends up in the tower with the sniper rifle that Mulder has to
Yeah.
take down is afraid of blood.
Yeah.
Um, so Mulder's like, well, somebody who like cut off the hands and feet of all these people is not afraid of blood. So there's got to be a
Yeah.
second killer. Like this guy's killing the kids, but then there's got to be a different killer. And so he is then rescued by the cops
Okay.
because X called the cops. And
And
so
the girl is as well.
the girl is as well. And it's
Great.
like, they're like, hey, you guys did great. You saved this girl. And Mulder's like, there's another killer out there. There has to be another killer.
Mhm.
And so Mulder goes over, his dad's still in New Mexico. And Mulder goes and he talks to the major at Gimbel's house. And the major starts telling him all about how when he worked for the Air Force, he was at El Rico Air Force Base, and he'll never forget he saw this man smoking a cigarette and there was an alien there. And it's because
Huh.
he knows too much that his wife was killed, that the
Oh,
government killed his wife. And
all
so then
right.
it kind of seems like he actually does know some stuff and
Huh.
isn't just paranoid. And
Right.
I want to look that up at some point. I didn't, but I
Yeah.
think El Rico Air Force Base is mentioned in some of those in Musings of a Cigarette Smoking Man when we learn
Ah,
about the cigarette smoking man's past.
yeah.
So
Oh, such a good episode. Yeah.
yeah. Um, and he also shows how in all those crime scene photos of those like kind of bad people who had hands and feet removed, you can see an arrow in them. So it's like, oh, the police should have spotted this. Um,
Okay.
so Mulder is like obsessing about the fact that he knows there's a second killer. And so he does all this reading and research and he writes down everything he can think about what the second killer should be like and who it
Now we're
might.
getting into like the origins of the forensic psychology and
Yes,
got it.
yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
And so Mulder's dad comes home and he's like all mad and he's like, why didn't you tell me what happened? The FBI just contacted me. You have to go and give a statement to them about everything that happened. And so Mulder goes with his dad and with Gimbel and Phoebe to the FBI, and they each have to individually talk to a different agent. And the agent is like Agent Wrestler. I don't think he's a real person. Well, I know he's not a real person. Yeah, I don't think he's on the show or anything.
Got it.
Basically, it's this very positive experience, and he teaches Mulder about the concept of writing a
Ah,
profile. And he mentions that Earl has a brother named Montgomery, and that Earl Roy's full name is Earl Roy Props. I researched this a little. Apparently, in the very first episode where Mulder and Scully are talking, they mentioned that Mulder wrote this famous profile of this serial killer that helped him get caught called Monty Props.
oh yeah, that's familiar.
Yeah, and so Mulder is like, look, I wrote all this stuff about him. And the FBI agent is like, that's a profile. This is really helpful. And so
Wow.
the book is basically saying that this famous profile that Mulder wrote about Monty Props was written when he was a 17-year-old kid with no training, which is definitely not the implication you get from the pilot episode. Um,
And I'm sorry, what was the name of the FBI agent?
Agent Wrestler,
Oh,
Ressler.
okay. I was hoping it was John Douglas, who was the FBI agent who
Wait,
like started profiling.
no, hang on, Helen, because I think there was a different agent who was mentioned who was talking to uh Gimbel, because like Gimbel is going to go and talk to one agent and Mulder's going to
Oh,
talk to
really?
another. Yeah, I gotta look at this.
Okay.
Agent Douglas, yes.
No
Agent Douglas
kidding.
is in this. Yes.
Oh,
Um,
that's yeah, because that's perfectly temporal. That's
yeah.
like the right. Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
that's awesome. Cool.
Yeah. Special Agent John Douglas from the
Yeah.
FBI's Behavioral Science Unit. He extended his hand to Bill Mulder, who gave it a quick shake.
Oh,
He had a
funny.
hard scribble look about him that Mulder liked. And so he interviews Gimbal, and uh Mulder gets interviewed by this other guy.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. That's so funny. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Cool.
That's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah.
That's a neat
Yeah, same.
touch. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing they didn't want to make somebody real have like a long conversation with
Right.
Mulder, but they wanted him to have a cameo or whatever.
Yeah. That's cool. I
That
like
is
that.
cool. I love that you
Yeah.
knew that guy's name too, to be able to do that.
I mean, partially from true crime stuff, partially from
Ah.
the show Mindhunter.
Oh, okay. I think
Um,
we've talked about that, how it
yeah.
scared you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I assumed you like learned it in school. I don't
Oh,
know. It's bones. I don't know what you do.
yeah. I mean, no, I don't think so. I mean, that's a
Okay.
fair my first I think I've talked about this. My first thesis advisor was pretty involved in like forensic anthropology and a
Yeah.
relatively big name.
Yeah. Did stuff
Um
with Gacy or no, with Dahmer.
no,
Yeah.
it was
Or
Gacy.
was
He
Gacy. Okay.
excavated, yeah, he was a grad
Yeah.
student at the time and
Yeah.
excavated his basement.
Got it.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But yes, John
Anyway,
Douglas.
so that's kind of neat. And uh so this fictional agent though, he
Yeah.
goes and is like, "Oh, this is going to be good. You should come to us when you're older and want a job." And so now Mulder kind of knows what he wants to do, and he has a talk with his dad and says, "I'm not going to Georgetown."
Ah,
And that wraps up the bulk of the case. There's one more chapter I'm going to talk about, but we don't see the brother getting caught. We don't see any of that, which is sort of a
huh.
weird ending, I thought. I thought it was going to end
Me
with more intense stuff, but
Yeah, maybe we can assume that like he isn't caught until later when Mulder is an agent and writes like a better profile.
maybe. I don't
Okay.
know. I hope he's
Yeah.
caught though. I don't know.
Yeah.
So either way, there's one more chapter.
Okay.
It's from X's perspective,
Okay.
and he's breaking into somewhere. And at first, you think he's breaking into Mulder's house because it's talked about multiple times in a way that I found very jarring. That both Mulder and Gimbal love Farrah Fawcett because she's so hot, and it just seemed very like I don't
Weird.
know. And like I do think Mulder would have liked Farrah Fawcett. That seems
Sure.
fair, but it just seemed like a lot of mentions of it as if to be like, remember, it's 1979. I don't
Yeah.
know. But it's mentioned that they both have a Farrah Fawcett poster. And so at first you think that he is in Mulder's house because of the Farrah Fawcett
Ah,
poster, but he's actually at Gimbel's house.
okay.
And uh the
Does he
major
kill the major?
he does
Bummer.
and
I mean,
destroys all his work.
I mean, we know X isn't without flaws. But
Yeah,
that's too bad.
it is too bad. I know. I was
Yeah.
like, X. They
Yeah.
also imply briefly that X's dad was horrible and that X killed his father
Oh, huh.
in like a little
Weird.
bit of yeah, I don't know that we ever learn anything about X's childhood or anything. Like we don't even know his
No.
name like in the show. So
Yeah. Weird. Okay.
yeah.
Huh. So
So that's
that's
that. That's
wow.
X-Files Origins #1, Agent of Chaos.
Wow. Well,
So
thank you for the recap.
you're welcome. I might read the second one about
Yeah.
Scully. I kind of feel like at first I was like, nah, and now having reread this one, I'm like, I could read the Scully one just as quickly,
Yeah.
and I could find out what happens and see if there's any fun little clues or things
Right.
related to the show. Um,
Yeah. It's not going to be a huge time investment to
right, yeah.
yeah.
And so yeah, I don't think there's anything else happening because the Scully one came out the next year, and then nothing since then, nothing since 2018. So
Yeah. Yeah. So
I'm
maybe now
guessing
that they
they
have one
weren't
of each.
successful enough to draw like a whole series or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and I do think part of that is just like everybody likes Mulder and Scully together. It's way less
Yeah.
compelling to have them. I mean, as we saw once, like what happened later on in the series when they weren't
Yes.
together, you know, it's
Yep.
just people just
Totally.
aren't as interested. So
Yeah. Same. Fair.
Yeah, I know. And I
Yeah.
mean, like, I'm somebody who actually likes Doggett and Reyes, like,
Yeah,
as characters,
I
as
can
people,
right. Yes.
but
But it's not the same.
it's not the same. No.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Well, it is 78 degrees in my office
But
with the
that's
window
so
open.
horrible. It's February. What is going on?
Yeah, I don't know. So, this will be the end of the episode so that I can
Yes.
stop sweating, maybe open my window more, maybe stand outside for a bit, maybe
Oh my God.
call lots of people.
They
And
need to fix this.
they quote unquote did fix it.
What?
Yeah. But they left me a card and said call if it's not fixed, and I've just been like, well, it's fine, but now that my window is open and it's still hot, I'm going to call. So that's what I'm going to go
Yeah,
do.
please do. And then
Yeah.
our next episode that you'll be watching, Helen, is called well, it's got one of those letters I don't know how to say because it's an O with a line through it.
Oh, okay.
Dodd calm? Dode calm?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, is that
It's
about a
got
ship?
Yeah, and it involves Norwegians.
Ooh,
So kind of like
okay.
the podcast I was just talking about, Death and Ice Valley.
Awesome.
So
Well, great. I'm excited.
yeah. Yeah, sounds kind of cool. All right. Like us, subscribe, whatever. And then yeah, send us any questions you have.
Sounds good. Bye.
Bye.